my God, why have you forsaken me? In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. In today's reading of the Passion according to St. Matthew, these are the last clear words that we hear Jesus say before he dies. My God, why have you forsaken me? They comprise the first verse of Psalm 22, whose echoes underscore the details of Jesus' crucifixion. The psalmist writes, "All who see me mock at me. They make mouths at me. They shake their heads." Watching Jesus suffer, the crowds would go with him, tease and taunt him that he would not be where he is if he really is who he says he is. The psalmist also says, "My hands and my feet are shriveled." 2 6-inch long, half-an-inch thick iron spikes pierce the sensorial motor median nerves in the carpal tunnel of each of Jesus' wrists, causing them to twist and clench. And his feet are fused by a single driven spike. The psalmist says, "I can count all my bones." Stripped naked, he can see the deep lacerations across his torso, groin, and thighs, raked open by the Roman soldier's flagellum, the whip of leather thongs, which small iron balls and sharp pieces of sheep's bone are attached. The psalmist says, "They divide my clothes among themselves, and for my clothing they cast lots," which is exactly what the bored soldiers idly do while they wait for him to die. Psalm 22 is a classic expression of a biblical lament, an emotional outcry from a spiritual wound. Psalms are the ancient hymnal of the Hebrew people, and at least 40 out of the 150 of them are of individual lament, personal outcries from the psalmist. Another dozen or so are communal or national laments. And then there is the 5-chapter book of Lamentations, written in response to Israel's captivity in Babylon 500 years before the time of Christ. But laments are not limited to Scripture. We lament, we cry out to God when we suffer an eruption of chaos, brokenness, suffering, or death. A biblical lament is certainly a kind of prayer. We ask God to stop the pain, but it's also a yearning for a reconnection with God when our relationship with God feels broken. Likewise, a lament is certainly a kind of complaint. We are expressing our unhappiness, but instead of being a bitter accusation that God is aloof or inept or cruel, it is more like an overwhelming appeal to God based on desperate trust in his goodness. Lamentations are not limited to mankind. When Jesus recites Psalm 22, he does so as a man so overwhelmed by suffering and sorrow that he laments to God that he feels abandoned. But when Jesus recites the verse from Psalm 22, he also does so as God, who is so heartbroken by the suffering and sorrow of his people that he laments that they abandoned him. As the Anglican bishop and New Testament scholar N.T. Wright wrote in an article for Time magazine last week, the mystery of the biblical story is that God also laments. In a certain sense, God has lamented ever since we left Eden. According to the book of Genesis, at the time of Noah, the Lord saw that the wickedness of humankind was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of their heart was only evil continually, and it grieved him to his heart. The prophets Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel, and others describe God's hot-blooded devastation when his people turn away from him as if he is a bridegroom abandoned by his beloved bride. As we read last week, Christ, who is God, the Son of God, weeps at the tomb of Lazarus, not only because he is a friend that he loves is dead, but because death is the enemy of everyone he loves. And St. Paul told the Christians in Rome that when God the Holy Spirit helps us to pray, he moves within us and intercedes for us with stegnagmos, the Greek word for deep groaning, with stegnagmos, too deep for words. Our God is a passionate God. He loves us passionately. In the person of Christ, he came among us to suffer his passion, to rescue us from our abandonment. He came among us to share our lament, to feel it, and to express it as we do, to suffer the worst our world can offer on the cross we made for him. It is true that he rose again on the third day. And it is true that his resurrection, and therefore our resurrection, is the greatest good news we can ever hope to imagine. But for this week, Holy Week, we stay by the cross and we lament. On that cross, Jesus lamented, my God, why have you forsaken me?" On that cross, Jesus showed that he knows that we lament, because sometimes we feel forsaken. But on that cross, Jesus showed that even when we forsake him, he will never